Please be seated. Right, good evening everybody. My name is Louis Stephen, I'm the Mayor of Worcester. This is a public meeting and members of the public and press are permitted to report on the proceedings. Reporting includes filming, photography, making an audio recording and providing commentary on proceedings. Please note this meeting is recorded and streamed live. These recordings are published on the relevant meeting page of the Council website. By choosing to attend this public meeting, you are deemed to have given your consent to being filmed or recorded and for any footage to be broadcast or published. If the alarm sounds, the premises must be evacuated immediately. Do not spend time collecting personal belongings. All emergency escape routes are clearly signed, and once you have left the building, the assembly point is in the High Street opposite the cathedral. Members and other speakers are reminded to use their microphones when speaking. I'd now like to ask our city orator to say a few words. Rihanna Levi.
All year I've been scared of tripping up on this step. All year. I've managed all year not to do it. Not yet, there's still time. Don't push me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be city orator this year. Beginnings, often restricted in stereotypes of meaning a fresh life, born into existence whilst another evaporates to make room. I see this not to be so. New beginnings jump up in motion with every millisecond, every decision, every walk, every occasion, every memory, every sigh, every cold, every whisper. It's a lovely mess of jumbled moments that at times cause fear because of lacking control of the adrenaline that each moment thrives on by being spontaneous. It really protests against planning with diaries. In this room, we have crowds of new and continued beginnings. And each one of us has the power to continue Worcester's vibrancy on an uphill trajectory. It's been a glorious experience to be the Mayor City Orator this year, particularly as a young woman who grew up in an unstable home environment, having to work myself to the bone in order to move forward from those experiences and become so accomplished at just 25 years old. And whilst I move on from this role onto new ventures, I have to say that this will forever be one of my favourite periods of time. Connecting with you all at each council meeting and events across the city. Who knows, maybe one day I will decide to become a councillor myself. But for now, I will say a massive thank you to the Mayor, Louis Stephen, for choosing me as City Orator and for working with me over the past year. I'm sure I am one of many who are grateful for your service as Mayor. I find a message to you all. Putting politics and independent views aside for a moment, great changes only happen when we do not separate ourselves from each other. Instead, communication will get us over annoying potholes and flooding rivers. At the end of everything, it is not just about having our own backs, but furthermore, strengthening the greatness that Worcester makes known to the rest of the country. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Rihanna. Okay, the next item is the apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence? No. So we move on to the election of the new mayor, and I'm going to ask for a nomination. So do I have a proposer for Councillor Lawrence?
I'm proud to propose my friend and colleague, Councillor Mal Alcott, for the position of Mayor of Worcester City. In Mal, I have met the kindest, most determined and caring person who is as faithful to this city as the residents are to her. I look forward to this year as one of recognition for all your hard work and dedication. I know you will enthusiastically fundraise for your chosen charity and lead this council into a new era of progressive collaboration.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. I second this nomination. I'd like to thank Mel for all her work as group leader as she embarks on her new journey as mayor and moves on to bigger and better things. The fact that Mel was re-elected with 1,798 votes, the highest number across the city, is just a snapshot of the force that is Mel Alcott, a force that I'm sure we will all become accustomed to. I first met Mel when I joined the Liberal Democrats. I was immediately in awe of her. She was not only loved by our team, but also by... I modelled myself as a prospective councillor on Mel's popularity. Mel has single-handedly brought our party back into the faithful city and has a team standing right behind her. I know that I speak for my colleagues when I say, thank you, Mel, for being an inspiring leader. You will make a great mayor, and the people of Worcester are lucky to have you as their civic leader.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? No? And in which case, we'll move straight to the vote then. So all those in favour of Mel Alcott being the Mayor of Worcester, please raise your hand. Is there anyone against? Any abstentions? No? So that is unanimous. Congratulations, Mel Alcott. Okay, Mel, would you like to come to the table, please?
I, Mal Alcott, having been elected to the office of Mayor of Worcester City Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will truly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
It's official. Well done. Congratulations.
Good evening, Council. I would like to give thanks to the Council for my election as Mayor. And I would like to announce my consort for the year, and also I have a couple of other stand-ins who I would like to mention whilst I'm here. So the consort will be my long-suffering partner, Anzu Lee, and I also have Mike Mullins and Stuart Wilde, who will be backup consorts for me. Yeah, so if I'd like to ask you to come to the front so that we can present you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, thank you again, everyone, for your support. And I think without further ado, we will move through the agenda. First of all, we're on agenda item 3, and it's a vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor. And I would like to call Councillor Lewin to speak.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on being the new Mayor. Councillor Lawrenson has told me that when he first met Louis at his kitchen table in 2009, with the idea of trying to get a Green elected, they would have laughed in disbelief if they'd been told that 14 years later, Louis would be the first Green Mayor of Worcester. What an incredible feat, and also what a fantastic Mayor he has been with the support of his dear wife, Katie. His chosen charity this year was Age UK, and the theme was creating a community that values and includes our older citizens. And it was valued by so many residents as they attended events throughout the year. And I know, Louis, that you did all of the events with your customary grace, generosity of time, and seamless, limitless energy. Louis raised over £7,000 for the charity, raised its profile, and brought a focus to the services and support that it offers. I think that a lasting memory for many will be the Christmas meal here at the Guildhall to support the charity and the Worcester Community Trust. Louis conducted scores of Mayor's tours of the Guildhall, and the tours have been so popular with all manners of charities, schools and foreign visitors, with sometimes several in 1 week. Louis, I've watched your commitment and your hectic schedule, and I'm really impressed. So it's no surprise that you've perfected and honed your tour of the Guildhall as you went along. And in fact, we hear that some people think that now this could be an alternative career as a Guildhall tour guide. Every mayor will bring their own personality and interest to the role at the Guildhall. And one thing that Louis has done is he's championed women by adding a portrait of Sheila Scott, the pioneering aviator, into the mayor's parlour, and then unveiling a blue plaque at the RGS to mark her achievements. He also made an early pledge to attend every mayoral event on his bike, come rain or shine. What a brilliant advocate for active travel. I'm told by Katie that there were no exceptions, and on more than one occasion, they had to arrive at a smart charity event on bike with your dress knotted to avoid getting caught in the chain, and Louis in his dinner jacket. So it was a lovely scene when you arrived. It's been a difficult financial year for the council and for residents. So it was really good to see that Louis eschewed the normal inaugural mayor's banquet and instead saved the council thousands of pounds and gave some of the money to the St Paul's Hostel for a festive meal. And in the chair position, you have had some difficult meetings to manage, but you have brought clarity, dignity and calm. We have also appreciated the warmth and respect with which you welcome members of the public to the chamber. And I'll finish by saying that by convention, the mayor must remain politically neutral to represent the city rather than represent their party. And I know that's hard for anyone who's passionate about politics. And I'm sure it's a relief for him to be the Green Party group leader again. And we very much are looking forward to having your energy and relentless enthusiasm back. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lewin. I would like to ask Councillor Stephen, the past Mayor, to step forward to collect their badge from the stage.
Thank you, Karen, for the kind words. It really has been quite an honour and a privilege to be the Mayor of Worcester. And it's something that myself and my wife will treasure forever. I can see one or two nods around, and I think anyone who has been a mayor knows what it's like. Worcester is an amazing place, and I think until I became mayor, I didn't quite know or understand how amazing it was and about how many great businesses, charities, and arts that we have in this city. And if it wasn't for all those volunteers and all those organisations, I dread to think what Worcester would be like. We would be so much the less for it. So we really must appreciate all of those bodies. Every mayor has a chance to make their mark, and I've made a few innovations myself. But I've also looked at what other previous mayors have done and looked at what worked well and tried to adopt them. So, for example, I looked at what Councillor Adrian Gregson did, and I saw he did some really good things in terms of things like reintroducing the city orator. And I took a leaf out of his book as well in the style of my weekly mayor's blog. I also take a little bit of, take the leaf out of Councillor Paul Denham's book as well. I think he was quite aghast at the cost of the mayor's inaugural banquet and decided not to do it. And I decided to follow that lead as well. And I think that's really important, to show leadership where you can. And there are some things as mayor that you can do. One of the things that I was most proud of was the mayor's charity fashion show. A number of you came along to that, and I'm very proud of it, but not proud of it for myself. I'm more proud about the people who made it work. Because as the mayor, as many of you will know who have been mayors, there is a very strong team of people who work for you. So people like Jill Priest and others in the office, incredibly organised, and they make things work well. And when they do, you look great because of all the work they do. And it was a very successful event where we got local schools to design, make and model their own fashion shows, fashion items from upcycled second-hand clothing. And I think it was a really great night, and I'm so proud of everybody who were part of that. The last thing I want to say is a very warm welcome to Mel. I hope you enjoy it, being a mayor, as much as I did. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to call the past mayoress to step forward and receive your badge. Thank you. Thank you. So moving on to agenda item 7, we have Mayor's Communications, and I would first and foremost like to say a huge welcome to our newly elected members and a returning member as well. And we have Councillor Jenny Barnes, Councillor Naz Hussain, Councillor Ed Kimberley, Councillor Alex Kinnersley, Councillor Alex Mays, Councillor John Rudge, Councillor Paul Sobick and Councillor Adam Scott. So yeah, welcome, and let's have a good year, I hope. And also, obviously, a tribute to past councillors. I'd also like to thank the following councillors who were not re-elected at the recent City Council election. And that they include, well, it was Councillor Owen Cleary, Councillor Stephen Hodgson, and Councillor James Stanley. This year, I know last year and the year before, both Councillor Stevens and Councillor Gregson, they opted for an orator, but this year I've decided to change it again. And we're going to have chaplains, and I'm going to invite people from different religions to each council meeting, so we'll have a change. And also we will have one meeting where we will have a non-religious person as well, so we cater more fairly, I think, for everyone. And this year, my charity this year will be the Purdyswell Young People's Leisure Centre. My theme for this year is Youth Matters. I think a lot of young people have had a really tough time, and so I really want to focus on that. And I know the Leisure Centre, I believe it's the biggest provider of youth services across the city, so please do all give them as much support as you can. And also dates, I guess a few key dates coming up. We have the civic events. We have the 23rd of June 24 is the civic service, and on the 27th of September this year I've decided to reinstate the inaugural banquet. I think if we get our guest list correct, we will be able to achieve a high amount of fundraising, so I do hope some people will support the return of that. And also I would like to invite everyone for refreshments afterwards in the parlour, and there will be a variety of refreshments to suit all dietary requirements. Thank you. Right. So, moving on to agenda item 8, election of deputy mayor. Do we have a nomination, please? Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my pleasure and honour to nominate Matt Lamb for Deputy Mayor. Straight out of teacher training in Greenwich, he first arrived in Worcester in '97 to teach A-level politics at the Worcester College of Technology. By 2000, he had become a full-time lecturer. By 2004, a head of department. And by 2007, he'd reached the dizzy heights of head of faculty. By 2011, he was running all A-levels, music, performance arts, science and business, as well as the School of Art and Design in Barben, working with around 100 staff teaching over 1,000 students. Matt is fondly remembered by many of his students and colleagues. He is often stopped on the pavement or recognised on the doorstep. In 2011, he took on the challenge of forming a new sixth form college, Central St Michael's in West Brom, where he works today. He is still a hands-on teacher. Matt has lived in the city since 2001 and became a member of this council in 2010, serving residents in the St John ward. He has successfully defended his seat since then. He is also this council's member champion for young people. And following the Boundary Commission review into ward boundaries, I was fortunate enough to stand with him in the most recent election in the new ward of Dines Green and Grove Farm. In many of my conversations with Matt, his love for the city, its diversity, culture, art and architecture shine through. He is a walker, and few can he walk. Leafleting with him makes me feel very much snail-like. Oh, and he likes a good musical too. As a political beast, I can think of no one who makes a better speech. Always, always on topic and well thought through. He plays the ball and never the player. I consider myself lucky enough to count him as a mentor and a friend. So again, without any irony at all, it is my pleasure to nominate Matt to be this council's deputy mayor for the forthcoming year. I hope, with all sincerity, that you agree with me and support this nomination.
Thank you, Councillor Norfolk. Do we have a seconder, please?
My apologies, I would like to formally second. I can't really better what Councillor Norfolk has said, so I'm just going to say thank you, Matt, for all that you do, and I'm sure you'll fill the role with grace.
Thank you. And do we have any more nominations? No? If we can go to the vote. Yeah. All those for? And so that's unanimous. Thank you. Yeah. I'd like to say congratulations to Councillor Lamb, if you'd like to come forward.
I've asked you to read the declaration.
sign it, and then David will countersign as the proper officer.
Okay, thank you. I, Matthew Lamb, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of Worcester City Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. Present you the chair.
Get out of your way.
Thank you.
Agenda item 9. Do we have any declarations of interest this evening? No. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 10, the minutes. Are we happy to agree the minutes of the meeting from the 26th of March, that they were true and accurate record? Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 11, appointment of leaders of the council. The next item is to appoint the leader or leaders of the council for the municipal year.
Excuse us, Chair. I wonder if we could move a deferment for these items until after the extraordinary meeting. If we could move to the extraordinary meeting for items and then come back for items 11, 12 and 13.
Yeah, if we can just have a seconder.
I can formally second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And congratulations on becoming mayor.
Thank you.
Is everyone content to move?
Is everyone content to move? Was that? Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so we'll then move on to the next item. We can do political balance, can't we? No. No, okay, sorry.
Okay, so we're going to move on to agenda item 13, appointments of members to committees and subcommittees, appointments of chairs and vice chairs, and outside bodies appointments. And this item is to appoint members to committees and subcommittees, if there are, to appoint chairs and vice chairs, and to make appointments to some outside bodies. And I think, again, we need to...
Proposal to defer.
Okay.
I thought we were proposing to move to the extraordinary council meeting next.
That's
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, thank you. Right, agenda item 14, report of returning officer. I'd like to ask the council to note the report of the returning officer on the results of the election held on 2nd of May 24 of city councillors for wards of Worcester City Council. Agreed, noted. Thank you. And next we move on to the report on councillor allowances, agenda item 15. I would like to ask again the council to note the report on the allowances paid to councillors in the financial year 23 to 24. Noted. Agreed. Thank you. Next we have programme of meetings of the council. And again, I would like to ask the council to note the dates of meetings of the council until July 2025 as set out in agenda item 16. Super. Thank you. So this concludes the business of the annual council meeting. So I will formally close this meeting and invite the council to proceed to the agenda for the extraordinary meeting of the council. Do we have any declarations of interest for the extraordinary? Okay. No. Okay, thank you. So next we have agenda item 4, and that's notice of motion. So motion 1, I believe that's being proposed by Councillor Denham.
Thank you, Mayor. This motion is to change the constitution with regard to the leadership of this council. The key points are that there's been a profound change in the political balance on this council over the last 3 years, and in particular as a result of elections that took place this year on May the 2nd. So the proposal is to move from the joint leader model to back to leader and deputy leader again, as has been in the past, and that the appointment of leader and deputy leader of the council should solely be on the basis of the vote of this full council. Leader and deputy leader of the council was in place up until May 2022, when the Green councillors, supported by the Conservative group, successfully changed the constitution to require 2 joint leaders, one from each of the 2 largest political groups. Labour councillors voted against this artificial construction 2 years ago. At that time, there were 15 Conservative councillors, 12 Labour, 6 Green and 2 Lib Dems. We didn't think a group of 6 should decide the leadership of the whole council and force the leader of a different political group into an invidious position alongside our political opponents. Contrary to the views of some residents, all political parties are not the same. I refuse to be joint leader alongside a Conservative councillor. Many of us regret that Worcester City Council had a further 12 months of minority Conservative leadership from 2022 to 23. The people of Worcester who were able to vote in May last year expressed their views, and no Conservative councillors were elected. Thus, Labour became the largest party last May, followed by the Green Party, Conservative and then Liberal Democrats. Truly no overall control. Leadership is important. Labour councillors proposed this same motion last year to establish leader and deputy for the council and to do away with the redundant income management subcommittee. To our surprise, on the night of annual council, a deal was done between the Conservative group and Green Party councillors to vote through continuation of joint leaders of different parties and retention of the subcommittee. It has been an interesting year. Councillor Bissett and I attended meetings together as joint leaders. We got on amicably, but neither of us were truly leading this organisation or managing the executive function of the council. As I said last year, leadership is also about representing the council outside the Guildhall with other councils, agencies, central government and anyone wanting a stake in our city. We need leadership with a vision to stick up for Worcester people and sing our praises, with a deputy who is trusted to share the same vision and priorities. I'm proud that Labour gained a clear mandate on May the 2nd for our manifesto, with all our councillors re-elected and 4 more. We stand ready to serve. There is an additional technical amendment to the motion that was published ahead of time, and that's needed to reinstate an allowance for a deputy leader of the council. For what it's worth, a leader and a deputy leader costs less than joint leaders and would potentially save council taxpayers just over £2,500 this year. This motion overall offers effective, efficient, responsible and responsive leadership and stable leadership for Worcester's future for the next 4 years. I move, and Julian will be able to hand out with that technical amendment added. Thank you.
Councillor Denham, could I ask you to read the amendment, please? When it arrives.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an addition, point 5, to the points 3 and 4 that we have in our papers. And that is that Council amends the adopted members' allowance scheme to reintroduce a reference to the deputy leader and to stipulate that the deputy leader of the Council receives a special responsibility allowance in the same terms as has been previously applied to this role. That is to say, 2 times the basic member's allowance. Thank you.
Councillor Denham, thank you. And do we have a seconder?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and first of all, can I congratulate you on your election and say how much I'm missing Sabrina, and I'll formally second the amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Udall, thank you. And do we have any speakers on the motion? Councillor Jagger.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, I wish to address you on behalf of the Liberal Democrat Group to support the constitutional amendments proposed by the Labour Party regarding the issue of joint leadership for the Council. Our decision to support this motion underscores a commitment to effective governance and accountability. First and foremost, I want to make it absolutely clear that we are not entering a coalition with Labour. We know a thing or two about coalitions and feel that maintaining our independence is and critical judgment is paramount. Our experience in Council over the last year and on the campaign trail has shown us that the pitfalls of forced alliances without mutual consent. We've seen the challenges firsthand, and we believe that a mandatory joint leadership arrangement, like a forced marriage, would be good for no one. Without consent, joint leadership will not result in an amicable, equal partnership. Instead, it might leave us facing a council without true leadership, true and clear leadership. So our view is that if the Labour Party, as the biggest party, wants to lead, they must also accept responsibility for their decisions. If everyone is responsible for decisions, no one is accountable. So single leadership will ensure focused accountability. We will support this motion. We recognise the importance of collaboration and remain supportive of the committee system and as a countermeasure of what may at times become an adversarial leadership situation. We will continue to engage in constructive dialogue and debate to ensure that that decisions are made in the best interest of our community. So for all those reasons, we will support this constitutional amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Mays. And welcome, by the way.
Thank you, and congratulations on your election to Mayor. So before I get to my main point, I would just like to pay tribute to my predecessor as councillor for St Stephen Ward, Marjorie Bissett. I and many of my fellow Greens wouldn't be here today without Marjorie's support and advice. She arrived with a wealth of experience in running campaigns in Reading and has been absolutely key to winning 12 seats at these elections. She should rightly be proud of her record in the previous 5 years that she served on this council, retiring as joint leader. Marjorie's first motion that she proposed in November 2019 was in support of using proportional representations in local elections. The results of this most recent election are an excellent example of the perversity that is visited upon the electorate by the outdated and antiquated first-past-the-post system. The Green Party won the most votes, a third, and received approximately a third of the seats. The Liberal Democrats polled about 14% of votes and got 14% of the seats. So far, so good. The Labour Party received less than 30% of the votes, yet won about half the seats on the council, while the Conservatives got a single seat for their 20% of the votes. The Liberal Democrats received less than 30% of the votes, yet won about half the seats on the council, while the Conservatives got a single seat for their 20% of the votes. The Liberal Democrats received less than 30% of the votes, yet won about half the seats on the council, while the Conservatives got a single seat for their 20% of the votes. Since the Labour conference passed a motion calling for proportional representation in 2022, the membership of all of the progressive parties on this council support proportional representation. The Labour Party, talking about having a mandate, did not mention any changes to the governance of this council in their manifesto. Over 70% of the votes in this city went to other parties. The Labour Party simply do not have a mandate to appoint a leader and deputy leader from their group. A fair and proportional solution consistent with the wishes of 60% of the voters in this city who voted for either the Labour Party or the Green Party would be made to maintain the current arrangement of joint leaders. I listened to many victory speeches by members opposite saying that local democracy is alive in Worcester and how they would represent all of their residents. Let's see that backed up with action now. I encourage every member who believes in fair, proportional, representative democracy to reject this motion and instead support collaborative, progressive teamwork for the people of Worcester.
Thank you. Councillor Stephen.
Worcester City Council is in no overall control. It doesn't matter how you cut that fact, it is a council in no overall control. And this change in governance is actually nothing short of a land grab of the City Council. Tonight, the Labour group are going to ask you to either vote for them or at least abstain. But that will mean that they will get the leader, the deputy leader, the chair of policy and resources, and the chair and vice chair of the communities committee. As Alex Mace has already said, if you look at the amount of votes that were cast in the last local election, 14% were for Liberal Democrats and they got 40% of the votes. The Green Party got a third and they got a third of the seats. That is evidently unfair, but that is the system that we have in this country and we cannot change that fact. But we do have the ability to make things a little fairer by making sure that we share responsibility and power between all of the progressive parties on this City Council. It seems to me that it is only right that even if we do move to having a leader and a deputy leader, that we should have at least, even if the Labour Party does lead this council, we should have the Green Party having the deputy leader. I will be urging the rest of the Green Group to be voting against this motion.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. Councillor Wentworth, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to point out that even though the popular vote narrative seems to be strong, that the Green Party actually gained nearly 50% of their votes, 49%, across solely 4 wards. And in the highest turnout wards, out of 16 wards, all bar Leopard Hill, they won all of their seats, as did the Liberal Democrats. So stacking votes in high turnout wards is not necessarily representative of the way that this city wanted to be represented by the different parties.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, if we move to the vote now, we can either take it en bloc or we can take it, because it's split into 4 recommendations, we can take it one by one.
I think we can take it on.
We take it en bloc?
En bloc, yeah.
Yeah, been advised we can take it en bloc. So all those in favour of the motion?
Just have a quick count. Yes, 22, agreed.
And all those against? And any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to motion 2, which is being proposed by Councillor Denham. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. This motion seeks to have another go at abolishing Income Management Subcommittee. The Labour group are committed to continuing the committee system, but it could work more efficiently. A review of the council's governance arrangements are now due, since it's been 7 years since the last one was undertaken. And this governance review should take place over the next few months and will be subject to further debate at future meetings of the council. In the meantime, this motion proposes certain amendments to the Constitution to make immediate changes to the operation of subcommittees. It's to ensure that this new municipal year starts from the principle that subcommittees of the council should not consume unnecessary resources. The functions of all committees and subcommittees should be a topic for the governance review. The council has been operating with an income management subcommittee and a personnel and general purposes subcommittee. Both of them have had their own scheduled programme of meetings, and their chairs have been entitled to special responsibility member allowances. I believe that this is an unnecessary use of council resources, not only in the payment of chairs' allowances, but of course of officer time as well, which is the most precious resource of this council. In the last civic year, the Income Management Subcommittee met 3 times. 2 scheduled meetings were cancelled for lack of business. The chair received £2,541 for this, which does not feel like value for money. It doesn't mean that managing income is unimportant, but that needs to be a function of all committees to look at opportunities to increase council revenue and to balance the budget, whether it's expanding our trade waste service, looking at developing special events in our museums, or looking at rental for use of our buildings. Personnel and General Purposes Subcommittee is supposed to be for managing senior officer appointments. It no longer needs to receive recommendations from the Joint Consultative and Safety Committee, since this important staff committee is now made up of group leaders who can sign off policies and note reports. Other general purposes items can be dealt with by the main Policy and Resources Committee. As and when there is specific business, the subcommittee can be formed from Policy and Resources with chair of that parent committee. This is more efficient decision making. We don't believe that committee meetings should be viewed as a reward for councillor egos or to boost their income. These 2 changes would save just over £4,000 this year in member allowances alone. A small but not insignificant amount. And then there's also the cost, as I say, of officer time, printing costs, etc. I move the recommendations in motion 2. Thank you.
Councillor Denham, thank you. And do we have a seconder for the motion?
I formally second, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Norfolk. If anyone would like to speak on the debate, Councillor Stephen. Thank you.
I think Councillor Denham has made a very good case for the changes, and I wouldn't want to disagree with her on that. I think she made some very good points and well made, and I'm very happy to support this amendment.
Thank you. Do you have Councillor Jagger? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I forgot the congratulation. On behalf of the Liberal Democrat Group, I also like to express our support for this motion, as we believe the functions of this committee can be absorbed by other committees, making the system more efficient.
Thank you. Councillor Riaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations on your elevation to Mayor. You'll be an exceptional Mayor, I'm sure. Just to back this motion, having been both Chair of Income Generation and Vice Chair and Chair again, I know very well what it feels like to be in the position of that Chair when it had some power. And when we had that power, we made some really, really good decisions. We made some really good investments, like King's Court, which is now giving us a really, really good return on a solid income over the years. That is supporting the front line in our council. But since the most significant thing that's happened in that committee is that due to government legislation and the PWLB loan board borrowings, we are no longer able as this council to be able to borrow at significantly lower rates than we used to because of an issue with competition out in the open market, which has limited our powers to do anything significant within that committee, hence the change from income generation to income management. And income management, as has been explained, we've had very, very little to do within the agendas of those committees over the last year and a half. Hence, it makes total sense in order to follow this motion and back it. Thank you.
Councillor Riaz, thank you. Do we have any other speakers?
Take the recommendations on block.
So we would take the recommendations on block, and we're all happy to vote. So all those in favour of the motion? That's unanimous, thank you.
So we're now going to return to agenda items that we deferred.
And so we're now going to return to the agenda items which we deferred earlier.
The first of those is appointment of the leader of the council.
And so the first of those is the appointment of the leader of the council. And I believe that's been proposed by Councillor Riaz. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to formally propose Councillor Lynn Denham to become the leader of the council. Lynn, as co-leader last year, has shown us all that she can lead by example, is a shining example of what a proactive, ambitious leader that works for the greater good of the city should be like. Her relentless determination and doggedness to ensure that officers have a steer on the direction of council matters, as well as members, and ensure member representation is listened to, speaks volumes about her compassionate leadership style. Her vast management experience in the NHS means she is an exceptional organiser and is able to manage the tasks as well as the people under her. She is not afraid to make tough choices under constant scrutiny, and in the next years, this ability will stand us in good stead as we negotiate our way through a tough and difficult period for the City Council. In a tumultuous year with a lot of political change, Lynn has shown she is the calm, mature, experienced leader that can bring stability and reassurance to this city and lead us into calmer waters. Therefore, I propose Councillor Lynn Denham.
Thank you, Councillor Riaz. I believe we have Councillor Scott to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What an honour within my first fortnight as a councillor and within the Labour group of nominating seconding Lynn Denham as leader of this wonderful council. However, though it's only been 2 weeks since I've been on the Labour group, I have known and worked with Lynn for 10 years in Cathedral Ward, and I know what a great ward councillor she is, engaged with residents, sympathetic to communities and very knowledgeable on all matters which could affect the people of Worcester. Over the years, I have actually worked with several great council leaders. They're all different, and I know Lynn will be amongst them. It'll be a great privilege to serve under her. I know she's a great collaborator and builder of partnerships. She combines a breadth of vision with a great grasp of detail. And as Jabba says, she has a steely determination matched by commitment and passion for the job. So I'm delighted to second this proposal.
Councillor Scott, thank you. Do we have any other speakers on the nomination? No, thank you. And do we have any other nominations? No. Oh, so, okay, so if we move to the vote, so all those in favour? All those against? And any abstentions? Thank you. That motion is carried.
Congratulations.
And congratulations to Councillor Denham. Okay. Yep, so we now move to the appointment of the Deputy Leader of the Council. And so if I can have the first nomination, which is being proposed by Councillor Gregson.
Thank you, Mayor, and pleased to see that you are in a seat previously occupied by such eminent people. Jabba Riaz himself is eminently suited to the role of Deputy Leader of the City Council. He has demonstrated his leadership skills across many years. He has served in the Cabinet, he's served under the committee model, chairing licensing communities and, as you've heard, income generation and income management. He is business-minded, an essential quality in our current financial situation. He spans communities not only formally in the committee, but outside the Guildhall, where he represents an area of probably the most diverse group of communities in the city. Of course, as Mayor, he laid the foundation for the modern approach to mayoralty. When I visited places as Mayor last year, so many people referred to his tenure very positively and encouragingly. More recently, he has led the Mellor from an embryonic creation to a position from which we now hope to see it grow and thrive. The Mellor shows his cultural interests. His other interests, of course, include sport, football, mainly cricket, and a spot of rugby. I first met Jabba tucking into a box of chips with his dad at Worcester Warriors some years before he joined the council. Jabba had to earn the respect of the Labour group, and he has done this through his humour, tenacity, commitment and moral compass, and his desire to see social justice across the city and, of course, beyond. He was our immediate choice to support Lynn as leader a couple of years ago when the position fell unexpectedly vacant. He has a supportive and engaging family, is well respected across the chamber, and will make an excellent deputy leader as we go forward with the new council in 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Gregson. Do we have any other speakers on the nomination? Second. Oh, sorry. I knew it was all going far too well. Yeah, if we could have a seconder, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, congratulations taking for Mayor position. Jabba has been on the council for 14 years, gaining a range of experience along the way, from chair of the licensing, a couple of cabinet positions, cleaning and greenery, and housing and communities, before taking on the several chair of communities, most recently the communities and income generations communities, not forgetting his time as the mayor where he has brought communities together. Jabba has proved that he is a statesman that this council trusts and that the city trusts. Practically being born and bred in Worcester, Jabba is a true example of working his way from the bottom to top. His trade lies in negotiations, accommodating all points of view, as well as understanding the wider implications of council decisions. He is a great relationship builder and he is able to reach out the both the private and public sector. He always serves with a sense of responsibility, ensuring that residents and this city are represented in the best interest of them all. I have no hesitation that Jabba will serve humbly and with a sense of duty doing this role justice under the leadership of Council in Denham. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Sadiq, thank you. And now, do we have any other speakers? Yes, Councillor Lewin, thank you.
I would like to nominate Councillor Stephen for Deputy Leader. Thank you. And I think my speech about his mayoral achievements has said pretty much everything why I think he should be the Deputy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Mays?
Yeah, I would like to second Louis for Deputy Leader of the Council. I think he's demonstrated in his year as the Mayor that he is a consensus-building leader of the Council, that is working together across the Chamber and making sure that we achieve the best for our residents. And additionally, in the risk of repeating myself, the Green Party won the most votes by a clear margin. The Labour Party won less than 30% of the votes across the city and did not win a majority of seats. I take Councillor Wilmore's point about Labour won seats where not many people vote, and that's apparently a mandate, but I think it's a bold gambit, but not one I agree with. Sharing the leadership positions is a fair and proportional representation of how people voted. Giving the Labour Party both leader and deputy leader via abstention or positive vote today is telling everyone who voted Liberal Democrat, Conservative or Green, your votes don't matter. It's telling the 500 voters who voted Liberal Democrat in St Peters it was a waste of time. It's telling the voters of Rainbow Hill, who put the Green Party closer than any party in history to taking a seat there, might as well have stayed at home. Voters who put the Green Party in second place for the first time in Cathedral, Fort Royal and St John's, why did you bother? Giving Labour the deputy leader and leader positions tells over 70% of the voters in this city, doesn't matter, we're putting Labour in power and we don't care what you think. I am pleased to second Louis Stephen as deputy leader.
Councillor Mace, thank you. And any more speakers on the nomination? Okay, so go Councillor Pingree first.
Regardless of the popular vote, because obviously that's not very popular in this room, of the makeup of the City Council, we have 12 seats that are Green and we have 17 seats that are Labour, sorry. There's not a huge amount of difference between the two. We have no overall control of the council, and clearly Worcester has decided that they want their two largest parties to be Labour and Green. Okay? So for the next 4 years, we're going to have to work together. The people of Worcester have elected us to work collectively to make the best decisions for Worcester. So yes, we should have a Labour leader, absolutely, I agree with that. But why don't we show the people of Worcester that we can work together by having a Green deputy? I think that would be a good choice.
Thank you. Councillor Denham.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it is absolutely necessary to counter the narrative of the popular vote and that votes in some parts of the city don't matter. Every single vote is important in Worcester, and as a Labour group, actually, gosh, as leader of this city council, every single resident matters. I'm not only going to respond to people who voted Labour, I'm not only going to worry about the wards which are represented by Labour councillors, I take absolutely seriously representing the whole city. Unfortunately, for some people, historically and actually practically, with the new government legislation, it is far more difficult for some people in this city to vote. With photo ID, many parts of the city do not have that available to them, and it's an enormous obstacle. When you take account of the fact that 20% of households in Worcester have no access to a car, those people almost certainly do not have a driving licence, and highly likely that they don't have a passport. The data in terms of people actually turned away from a polling station because they lacked photo ID, I don't know, I haven't seen the figures for this year, unless Shane's got them immediately to hand, but last year it was relatively small. But then we know we met citizens, we met residents in our wards who hadn't got the photo ID, who just knew that, you know, well, voting's not for me, the government won't let me, I have no voice. It is the principle of the Labour group to be the voice of the voiceless, and we will do our best to speak up for that. And I know that Councillor Riaz will do that and has a long history of doing that. Thank you.
Councillor Cochrane, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment and election to Mayor. I'm sure you'll do a fantastic job this year. The former Labour MP Jo Cox, I would like to quote her, which is well known for saying that we are far more united and have far more in common than that which divides us. And I think this is an important point when it comes to the running of the council and the leadership of it. And that's why I could not agree with changing the constitution to going back to the previous arrangement of a leader and deputy leader. I think that it's perfectly possible for people with some different views, but mostly views in common, to work together. And I think that sends a very powerful message to the residents of Worcester, and also within the council, that we work in collaboration. In terms of the nominations that we have before us, I think Jabba Riaz would make an excellent deputy. He's well respected across the political spectrum. However, the fact that it's to appoint him as a deputy leader, that would be my reasoning for supporting Louis Stephen in that role, as opposed to Jabba Riaz, despite the fact that I think he would do a superb job.
Councillor Cochrane, thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Desiree, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations on your appointment. I'd just like to say that the committee system is retained, and it allows an equal share for participation across all the political groups, and I don't think that should be ignored.
Councillor Desiree, thank you. And any more speakers? Councillor Jagger.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to just clarify something. As a Liberal Democrat, we are long-term supporters of proportional representation and a change in the voting system. However, having joint leadership is not the same as having proportional representation. It's an uncomfortable hybrid, a confusing overlap that lets people wondering who is really in charge. It's a false comparison. I repeat my earlier statement. It's more like a marriage. It's great if both parties agree to marry, but a nightmare if it's forced. And that's the reason we're supporting it.
Councillor Jagger, thank you. Any more speakers?
Now take the nominations one by one. All members have one vote. We'll just
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to introduce this item, as 2 councillors have been nominated, every councillor in the chamber has 1 vote. So firstly, I will ask for those in favour of Councillor Riaz being deputy leader, and then I will ask those in favour of Councillor Stephen being deputy leader. So if I can first ask you, those in favour, please raise your hands for Councillor Riaz to be elected deputy leader. 18. Those against? Any abstentions?
one vote.
1 vote.
Yeah, sorry, so against, does it? Yeah. Sorry, so we don't need to do that.
Okay, sorry, just apologies. So we're just voting for. So we have 18 votes for Councillor Riaz. Can I ask those that are voting in favour of Councillor Stephen being elected as deputy leader, please raise your hand. 12. Thank you. Councillor Jabba Riaz is elected as deputy leader of the council.
Thank you. And congratulations, Councillor Riaz. So now we're moving on to the third deferred item, and it's the political balance on committees and subcommittees, and this is being proposed by Councillor Denham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a lot of papers, it's perhaps worth saying. So this is agenda item 12, which is in the annual council supplementary agenda, page 1. So The political balance for this year obviously is based on the results of the local elections on the 2nd of May. So that is that Labour have 17 seats on the whole council, the Greens have 12, Liberal Democrats 5 and 1 Conservative. So it's necessary to review the allocation of seats and a very careful calculation as to what is the appropriate balance and nearest to political equity across all the different committees that we have. So what we have on page 3, which is Appendix 1 to the agenda item, is the nearest approximation to balance. And now that we no longer have income generation or personnel and general purposes as subcommittees. So that appendix is what you have before us, and we incorporated within it is 2 committee places for the non-aligned member.
Councillor Denham, thank you. And do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Riaz, thank you. And do we have any speakers? Okay, we can move to the vote. All those in favour? Yeah, just for the political balance, that's all. Okay.
It needs to be unanimous. Yeah, it is. So that's unanimous.
That's unanimous, thank you. Now we're moving on to agenda item 8, and that's again the deferred item. It's the appointment of members to committees and subcommittees and appointments of chairs and vice chairs.
So take that in 2 parts. We're going to do appointments to chairs, appointments to committees first, and then we'll do chairs and vice chairs afterwards.
So we're going to do appointments to committees first and then appointments to chairs and vice chairs afterwards. And so I'd like to invite group leaders to make nominations. And if I start with Councillor Denham, thank you.
Thank you. Do you want me to do all my nominations for all committees? Yeah. Okay, right. So policy and resources, Jabba Riaz, Lynn Denham, Adrian Gregson, Robin Norfolk, Pat Agar, Adam Scott. Communities Committee, Gilda Sarah, Matt Lamb, Bash Ali, Elaine Wilmore, Jabba Riaz. These aren't in alphabetical order, sorry. It's as negotiations and agreements in filling in the slots. Environment Committee, Zoe Cookson, Richard Udall, Sue Smith, Atif Sadiq, Adam Scott. Health and Wellbeing, Lynn Denham, Elaine Wilmore, Edward Kimberley, Atif Sadiq, Naz Hussain, Richard Udall. Place and Economic Development Committee, Robin Norfolk, Jabba Riaz, Adrian Gregson, Gilda Sarah, Edward Kimberley, Jenny Barnes. Planning Committee, Pat Agar, Sue Smith, Richard Udall, Jenny Barnes, Edward Kimberley. Licensing and Environmental Health, Richard Udall, Jabba Riaz, Robin Norfolk, Sue Smith, Gilda Sarah, Adam Scott. Audit and Governance, Matt Lamb, Zoe Cookson, Jenny Barnes, Gilda Sarah. And then Standards Committee, Bash Ali, Zoe Cookson and Matt Lamb. And then with regard to the non-aligned member, a place on Communities Committee and a place on Planning Committee.
Councillor Denham, thank you. And Councillor Stephen, we have yours next.
So for Policy and Resources, Louis Stephen, Karen Lewing, Alex Mace, Elena Round, Steve Cockram. For Communities, Alex Mace, Katie Collier, Neil Lawrenson. Environment, Karen Lewing, Hannah Cooper, Andrew Cross, Paul Sobchak. Health and Wellbeing, Neil Lawrenson, Alex Kinnersley, Elena Round, Steve Cockram. Place and Economic Development, Hannah Cooper, Tor Pingree, Katie Collier, Louis Stephen. Planning, Karen Lewing, Alex Kinnersley, Andrew Cross, Louis Stephen. Licensing and Environmental Health, Hannah Cooper, Alex Kinnersley, Paul Sobchak. Audit and Governance, Neil Lawrenson, Alex Mace. And Standards, Steve Cockram, Tor Pingree, Katie Collier.
Councillor Stephen, thank you. And Councillor Jacka?
Thank you, Mayor. So for Policy and Resources, Jessie Jagger and Mel Alcott. For Communities, Karen Lawrence and John Rudge. For Environment, Karen Lawrence and John Rudge. Health and Wellbeing, Sarah Murray. Place and Economic Development, Mel Alcott. Planning, John Rudge. Licensing and Environmental Health, Karen Lawrence and Sarah Murray. Audit and Governance, Jessie Jagger. Standards, Sarah Murray. Thank you.
Councillor Jagger, thank you. And Councillor Amos, would you like to make a comment? Are you content with your appointment?
Well, yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, as always, I'd like to make a comment. But first of all, I can say that everything I say in this chamber will have the unanimous support of my group. And there won't be any dissension, there won't be any leadership challenges for at least 4 years. So I'm looking forward to it. I think at that point, Madam Mayor, I'll say no more.
Yeah. And are you content with your appointment?
Sorry?
Are you content with your appointment?
I am content, yes. Yes, I'm content. I look forward to playing a very full part in the events of the next 4 years. Others may wish I was quiet, but I'm not going to go quiet. I'm going to do my duty by my constituents in Lower Wycombe Pit Marston, and I'm very grateful for the kindnesses and generosity that all members of this chamber have expressed to me so far, so I'm very grateful. I'm very happy, and I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Thanks, Amos, thank you.
We're now going to do the outside body. We've got some outside body.
So we're now going to move to the outside bodies next, so if we could go round again, if that's okay. If we start with Councillor Denman.
Okay, so Joint Museums, Adrian Gregson. Worcestershire Regulatory Services Board, Adam Scott. Joint Consultative and Safety Committee, Lynn Denham. Corporate Parenting Board, Councillor Lamb, and that's kind of pending review of the champion roles, which is sort of scheduled to take place, I think, at a future PNR meeting in July. Hot Market Charity, my nominations are Councillor Barnes, Councillor Denham and Councillor Scott. LGA General Assembly, Councillor Riaz. South Worcestershire Development Plan Joint Advisory Panel, Councillor Agar, Norfolk and Scott. Town Deal Board, Councillor Denham. West Mercia Police and Crime Panel, Councillor Udall. I don't know if there's any other nominations for Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee, if anyone's interested in that. I'll put a kind of a provisional for Councillor Udall, but I think, you know, if somebody else wishes to, we take note of that. For Worcestershire County Council Health and Wellbeing Board, that is dependent on the chair and vice chair of our Health and Wellbeing Committee, which is to be determined. Worcestershire Leaders Board, Councillor Denham.
Councillor Denham. Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Stephen next, please.
Okay, for Joint Consultative and Safety Committee, Louis Stephen. For the LGA General Assembly, Councillor Lewing. For South Worcestershire Development Plan Joint Advisory Panel, Councillor Lewing, Councillor Cross. And I think that's all I can nominate at this point, because we haven't done the chairs and vice chairs yet. So, yeah.
Stephen, thank you. And Councillor Jagger, please.
Thank you, Mayor. For the LGA General Assembly, myself, Jessie Jagger.
Is she appointing herself to JCSC? Yes.
Ah, we're just checking. Are you appointing yourself to JCSC as well as group leader?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there any more nominations to Hot Market Charity?
Yeah, and can I ask group leaders, do we have any more nominations to the Hot Market charity? No, looks like a... No.
Members, we do have a bit of a constitutional difficulty if we can't secure some more nominations to Hot Market Charity. We could move to bring that item back to Policy and Resources Committee on 21st of May, which gives you a little bit more thinking time. The Hot Market Charity's constitution is quite prescriptive about number of appointments and them being derived from the member body. So I would really like to return to that item, but perhaps if we move to that to Policy and Resources next week.
Yeah, all agreed. Oh.
Sorry, through you, Chair, I wonder whether people realise that it needs to be a nomination every year. So there are councillors of other parties who have been on the Hot Market. Do they think they are going to continue, or are they actively not wanting to continue?
To Policy and Resources.
Okay, yeah, so if we defer that,
Yeah, no, we'll pick it up at
we'll pick it up at Policy and Resources.
Through you, Chair, as well, just to also point out that there are some vacancies also not appointed tonight. There's one further membership space on Joint Museums Committee and also one further on Worcestershire Regulatory Services. Again, if members wish, we could defer those till next to the Policy and Resources Committee on Tuesday night, if members would prefer. There's a vacancy on both of those.
Councillor Stephen, yeah.
For the museum, Councillor Cooper would do that one.
Councillor Lawrence.
I'll sit on the Worcestershire Regulatory Board.
Thank you. Right, so are we happy with those appointments? Okay, yeah, thank you. So if we just say that concludes all business apart from appointments of chairs and vice chairs, so we'll now return to that.
Okay, so that concludes all business apart from appointments of chairs and vice chairs this evening. So if we return to that now last.
And invite Councillor Denham to go first.
Okay, and if we, same person, Councillor Denham, if you go first, please. Chairs, please.
Thank you very much. So start Policy and Resources, Chair Lynn Denham. Communities, Chair, Councillor Riaz. Vice Chair, Jill de Serra. Environment, Chair, Zoe Cookson. Health and Wellbeing, Vice Chair, Elaine Wilmore. Place and Economic Development, Chair, Robin Norfolk. Planning, Vice Chair, Pat Agar. Licensing and Environmental Health, Chair, Richard Udall. Audit and Governance, Vice Chair, Matt Lamb. Standards Committee, Vice Chair, Bash Ali.
Councillor Denham, thank you. Councillor Stephen.
We're not actually happy with the chairs and vice chairs that we were given, but nonetheless we will give you a list of people who will do the roles. Policy and Resources, I will be the vice chair. For the Environment, Councillor Lewin will be vice chair. For Health and Wellbeing, Councillor Round will be chair. For Place and Economic Development, Hannah Cooper will be Vice Chair. For Planning, Councillor Lewin for Chair. And for Audit and Governance, Councillor Lawrenson will be Chair.
Councillor Stephen, thank you. And Councillor Jagger, please.
Thank you, Mayor. For Policy and Resources, Jessie Jagger as Vice Chair. For Licensing, Karen Lawrence as Vice Chair. And for Standards, Sarah Murray as Chair.
Councillor Jagger, thank you. And we have no other nominations, so if we're all content to vote for those en bloc.
Just need a proposer and a seconder.
Yeah, so we need a proposer.
I propose that Council adopts the chairs, vice chairs and membership as put forward.
And if we can have a seconder, please.
Thank you. I formally second that.
Thank you. Go to the vote. And so we can go to the vote. All those in favour? And all those against? 12. And no abstentions. Okay, so that is carried. Thank you.
So that concludes all of the business of tonight.
So that's it. And so that concludes all of the business of tonight. And it is exactly 8:30. Thank you. Thanks.